I never thought a single moment could shift everything. Rex and I had been training partners for months, sweating through drills, pushing each other to the limit. That day, the gym was alive with the usual chaos-clanging weights, the rhythmic, the thud of punches, and the sharp exhales of effort. But when he slipped during a sparring move and landed on me, his weight pinning me to the mat, something changed. His breath was warm, his eyes locked on mine, and that last look, God. It said everything words couldn't. My heart raced, not from the workout, but from the unspoken truth hanging between us. This is the story of how that moment unraveled. Me rebuilt me, and tangled our lives in ways I never saw coming. The gym was our sanctuary, a gritty old place in the heart of the city where fighters came to prove themselves. Rex was the guy everyone noticed, broad shoulders, a jawline that could cut glass, and a laugh that filled the room like sunlight. He was 32, a few years older than me, with a quiet confidence that made you want to earn his respect. I was just another guy trying to keep up, 28, and still figuring out who I was outside the ring. We'd bonded over shared bruises and late-night talks about life, but I never let myself think too far beyond that. Feelings like mine were dangerous, easy to misread, easier to bury. That day, though, when he fell on me, the world slowed. His hands braced against the mat on either side of my head, his face inches from mine. I could smell the sweat on his skin, see the flecks of gold in his hazel eyes. He didn't move right away, and neither did I. The air felt thick, charged, like the moment before a storm breaks. Then he gave me that look, half question, half confession, and my chest tightened. I wanted to say something, anything, but my voice caught. He rolled off, muttered an apology, and we went back to training like nothing happened, but it had. I felt it in my bones. The weeks that followed were a slow burn. Rex started lingering after sessions, his jokes landing softer, his glances longer. I'd catch him watching me when he thought I wasn't looking, and every time my stomach flipped. I wasn't out not to him, not to anyone in the gym. Growing up, I'd learned to keep that part of me locked away, a survival tactic in a world that didn't always feel safe. But Rex was different. He had this way of seeing through me, like he knew the things I wasn't saying. It scared me as much as it pulled me in. One night, after everyone else had cleared out, he sat next to me on the bench, unwrapping his hands. The gym was quiet, just the hum of the overhead lights and the distant drip of a leaky faucet. "You ever feel like you're holding back?" he asked, his voice low, like he was testing the waters. I froze, my heart pounding. I wanted to tell him everything, how his presence made my skin hum, how I'd started dreaming about him in ways that left me sleepless. Instead, I shrugged, mumbled something about pushing harder in training. He nodded, but his eyes stayed on me, searching. That's when I knew he felt it too. We started finding excuses to be around each other. Coffee runs turned into long talks about nothing and everything, his childhood in a small town, my struggles with family who didn't get me. He'd talk about his ex, a guy he'd dated years ago, and I'd listen, piecing together the parts. Of him he kept hidden. He wasn't out either, not fully, and I saw the weight of that in the way he'd tense up when someone got too close to the truth. We were both dancing around it, afraid to name what was growing between us. The first time we kissed, it wasn't planned. It was late raining, and we were outside the gym, sharing a cigarette under the awning. He leaned in, his hand brushing mine, and before I could think, his lips were on me. It was soft at first, tentative, then urgent, like he'd been holding it back for too long. The world fell away, the rain, the city, the fear. Just him, me, and the taste of rain on his skin. When we pulled apart, he looked at me like I was something he'd been searching for his whole life. "I'm sorry," he whispered, but he was smiling. I laughed, shaky, and said, "Don't be." From there, it was like we'd unlocked something neither of us could control. We'd steal moments, quiet touches in the locker room, late night. Drives where we'd talk until dawn. But it wasn't easy. The gym was a macho world, full of guys who'd joke about things that cut deeper than they knew. We kept us a secret, and that secrecy gnawed at me. I wanted to tell the world he was mine, but the fear of losing what we had kept me quiet. Rex felt it too. I saw it in the way he'd pull back sometimes, like he was bracing for the moment it all fell apart. One night, we fought about it, not with fists, but with words, sharp and raw. We were at my place, the TV flickering in the background, and I asked him what we were doing. "What is this, Rex? Are we just sneaking around forever?" He got quiet, his jaw tight, and said, "You know it's not that simple." I pushed, because I was tired of hiding, tired of feeling like we were doing something wrong. He left, and for 3 days, we didn't speak. Those days where every notification on my phone made my heart jump, hoping it was him. When he finally showed up at the gym, he looked wrecked, like he hadn't slept. "I don't want to lose you," he said, his voice breaking. "But I'm scared, okay? I've never done this before." We rebuilt from there, piece by piece. It wasn't perfect. Love never is. But we learned to navigate the fear, to carve out a space for us in a world that didn't always make room. Every touch, every quiet moment felt like a victory. Rex became my anchor, the one person who saw me, really saw me, and didn't look away. And I think I was that for him too. Loving Rex was like learning to breathe in a new way, thrilling, terrifying, and vital. After that fight, we promised to be honest, to stop hiding from each other, even if we still had to hide from the world. But promises are fragile things, and life has a way of testing them. The gym, our families, our own doubts, they all pressed in, threatening to crack what we'd built. This is the story of how we fought to hold on, how we learned what it means to love someone when the world isn't ready for it, and how we found a way to let go of the things that didn't matter. The months after we got back together were a delicate dance. We were more open with each other, sharing fears we'd kept buried. Rex told me about his dad, a man who'd raised him on tough love and expectations, who'd never understand a son who loved another man. I told him about my mom, how she'd pray for me when she thought I wasn't listening, like she could sense. I was different. Those conversations hurt, but they bound us closer, like stitches in a wound. The gym was still our battleground. We were careful, but not careful enough. One of the guys, Mike, started giving us looks, nothing overt, just a raised eyebrow, a smirk when we stood too close. It made my skin crawl, the way he'd linger on us, like he was waiting for a slip. Rex brushed it off, said Mike was just a jerk, but I could see the tension in his shoulders. We started meeting outside the gym more, at my apartment or quiet bars where no one knew us. Those nights were my favorite treks, sprawled on my couch, his guard down, telling stories about his old dog or singing off-key to the radio. I'd watch him and think, this is what it's supposed to feel like. But the secrecy was a weight we couldn't shake. I wanted more dinners out, weekends away, the normal stuff couples do. Rex wanted it too, but he was cautious, always calculating the risks. One night we went to a movie, sat in the back row, and held hands in the dark. It felt like a rebellion, small but electric. When we left, he pulled me into an alley and kissed me, hard, like he was claiming something. "I want this," he said, his voice rough. "I just don't know how to get there." Things shifted when his sister, Lena, came to visit. She was sharp, funny, and saw right through us. We were at a diner, the three of us, and Rex was telling some story about a fight he'd won. Lena leaned over, her eyes glinting, and said, "You two are cute together." I choked on my coffee. Rex went red, stammering, but she just laughed. "Relax, I'm not blind, and I'm not Dad." Later, she pulled me aside and said, "He's happy with you. Don't let him screw it up." Her acceptance was a lifeline, a reminder that not everyone would turn away, but not everyone was Lena at the gym. Mike's smirks turned into comments, nothing direct, but close enough to sting. "You guys are real close, huh?" he'd say, his tone laced with something ugly. Rex started pulling back, not from me, but from the gym. He'd skip sessions, make excuses. I hated it, hated seeing him shrink himself to fit someone else's idea of who he should be. I pushed him to talk, and it led to another fight, this one worse. "You don't get it," he snapped, his voice raw. "This could ruin everything, my family, my career. You think it's easy for me?" I wanted to scream that it wasn't easy for me either, that I was just as scared. Instead, I said, "If you're ashamed of me, just say it." He looked like I'd slapped him. He didn't speak, just grabbed his jacket and left. This time, the silence lasted a week. I threw myself into training, hitting the bag until my knuckles bled, trying to outrun the ache in my chest. I kept replaying that moment in the gym, his weight on me, that look in his eyes. Had I misread it? Was I just a phase, a mistake he'd regret? When he finally texted, it was simple. "Can we talk?" We met at the park, the one place we could be alone without walls closing in. He looked tired, his eyes shadowed. "I'm not ashamed of you," he said. "I'm ashamed of me, for not being braver." He reached for my hand, and I let him take it. We sat there, not saying much, just holding on. From then on, we made a plan. Small steps, testing a few trusted friends, testing the waters. Some took it better than others. Lena helped, talking to their mum, softening the ground. My family was harder. My mum cried, said she just wanted me to be happy. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. The gym was the last hurdle. We decided to be honest, not loud, but real. When Mike made another comment, Rex shut him down, calm but firm. "Mind your own business," he said, and that was that. Mike backed off, and the others didn't care as much as we'd feared. We're still figuring it out. Some days I look at Rex and feel like my heart might burst. Other days, the world feels too heavy and we stumble. But we keep going because what we have is worth it. That moment in the gym that Luke hit wasn't the end. It was the beginning. The spark that lit everything. And I'd do it all again, every fear, every fight, just to feel his hand in mine.